As families gather for the holidays, thousands of American service members remain far from home, serving in places the public rarely thinks about. These are America's forgotten wars, missions in Syria, Iraq, Somalia, and beyond. Many began after 9/11, but continue quietly, with real risks. This video explores what our troops do, the dangers they face, and the sacrifices made far from home. In eastern Syria, about 900 U.S. troops remain on duty, continuing the fight against ISIS. Operation Inherent Resolve began in 2014 to counter ISIS's rapid rise. Though the caliphate fell in 2019, ISIS remnants still operate, launching attacks and regrouping in the shadows. U.S. forces work closely with the Syrian Democratic Forces, providing intelligence, air support, and training. This partnership is vital for targeting ISIS hideouts and detaining high-value targets. American troops also serve as a check on Iranian-backed militias, who frequently target U.S. positions. The dangers are real. Just this month, 2 National Guardsmen and a contractor were killed in an ISIS-linked attack. U.S. forces regularly face rocket and drone attacks, responding with defensive airstrikes and raids. For over a decade, American troops have been part of Syria's complex battlefield, surrounded by Russian, Syrian, Turkish, and Iranian-backed forces. Their mission: prevent ISIS's return and maintain regional stability. The small footprint belies the strategic importance and daily risks. It's a delicate balancing act performed by Americans in a war that's faded from the headlines. Their presence is a reminder that the fight against ISIS is far from over. Next, we turn to Iraq, where the mission is evolving. The U.S. military presence in Iraq began with the 2003 invasion and shifted in 2014 to fighting ISIS. Today, the mission is changing, moving from direct combat to a security partnership. U.S. forces are drawing down, consolidating into fewer bases, mainly in the Kurdish north. The goal: transition full responsibility for counter-ISIS operations to Iraqi forces. Remaining U.S. personnel focus on advising, intelligence and logistics, not leading patrols. This reflects confidence in Iraq's ability to contain ISIS, marking a new chapter in the relationship. The American footprint is shrinking, but a focused presence will remain to support hard-won gains. The transition is delicate, requiring coordination with the Iraqi government and careful management of local politics. It's not the end of U.S. engagement, but a quieter, less visible phase. After 2 decades, the mission in Iraq is evolving, still important for regional stability, but no longer defined by open combat. As Iraq takes the lead, American troops shift to the background, ensuring the fight against ISIS doesn't unravel. Now, let's look at another front: Somalia. In Somalia, about 500 U.S. Special Operations Forces are deployed to combat al-Shabaab, al-Qaeda's largest affiliate. Al-Shabaab controls large swaths of rural Somalia and launches attacks on the government and neighbors. The U.S. mission train, advise, and assist Somali and African Union forces. American operators mentor elite Somali units, plan raids, and provide crucial air support, including drone strikes. This by, with, and through approach allows a small U.S. presence to have outsized impact without large-scale combat. The U.S. presence has shifted, withdrawn in 2021, redeployed in 2022, reflecting the ongoing threat. Persistent ground presence is seen as more effective than remote operations. The fight's long-term, in a country plagued by instability. U.S. leaders see al-Shabaab as part of a global network threatening American interests. For those deployed, it means operating in a dangerous, austere environment, facing a determined enemy. The mission rarely makes headlines, but it's considered vital to national security. Somalia is a key front in the global fight against extremism. Next, we move to the seas near Yemen. The U.S. has no permanent base in Yemen, but American forces are deeply engaged in the surrounding waters. The Red Sea and Gulf of Aden are critical shipping lanes, threatened by Iran-backed Houthi rebels. U.S. Navy warships patrol the region, intercepting drones and missiles launched at commercial vessels. Their defensive shield keeps global trade flowing and prevents economic disruption. When threats persist, U.S. forces strike Houthi targets inside Yemen, focusing on infrastructure used to attack shipping. In spring 2025, a major air and naval campaign targeted over 1,000 sites, aiming to reduce the threat, not to intervene in Yemen's civil war. This is modern conflict high-tech battles waged from afar with sailors and pilots as the front line. The Houthi attacks, backed by Iran, challenge international norms and regional stability. Even without boots on the ground, the US is deeply involved in this forgotten war. Naval power is used to protect freedom of navigation in one of the world's most important choke points. The mission is both defensive and strategic, ensuring the seas remain open. It's a fight that rarely makes headlines, but its impact is global. Now, let's look at another little-known operation, this time in the Caribbean. Far from the Middle East, the U.S. military runs Operation Southern Spear in the Caribbean near Venezuela. The mission counter narco-trafficking by targeting boats smuggling drugs from South America. This operation marks a major U.S. naval buildup in the region, with up to 15% of naval assets deployed. Advanced ships, including the USS Gerald R. Ford, interdict go-fast boats used by traffickers. U.S. forces have conducted dozens of lethal strikes, resulting in over 100 reported deaths. Officially, the goal is to fight the flow of narcotics, but the scale and location suggest broader geopolitical aims. The heavy presence near Venezuela, a U.S. adversary, signals strength and puts pressure on the Maduro regime. Operation Southern Spear blurs the line between counter-narcotics and strategic posturing. Like other forgotten wars, it proceeds with little public awareness or debate. It's a conflict fought on the water, justified as part of the war on drugs, but shaped by regional tensions. Now, let's consider the risks and sacrifices behind these missions. Behind every mission are the real risks faced by American service members. In Syria and Iraq, threats come from ISIS remnants and Iranian-backed militias using drones and rockets. Troops on remote bases must stay vigilant. Recent deaths in Syria show the dangers are ever present. In Somalia, special operators face harsh conditions, disease, and a determined enemy. Sailors near Yemen endure long deployments, always on alert for missile attacks. These deployments take a toll, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Some conflicts have lasted so long that service members deploy to the same wars as their parents. Families at home bear the burden too, celebrating milestones with an empty chair at the table. The quiet nature of these wars can make their sacrifice feel invisible. Every number is a person, a volunteer serving far from home. Acknowledging their service means understanding the daily risks and personal sacrifices they and their families make. These are the human costs of America's forgotten wars, but what keeps these missions going, year after year? The legal authority for these ongoing operations comes from laws passed after 9/11. The 2001 Authorization for Use of Military Force, or AUMF, gave the president broad power to target al-Qaeda and its affiliates. Over time, this authority has been stretched to cover groups like ISIS and al-Shabaab, organizations that didn't exist in 2001. The 2002 AUMF, meant for the Iraq invasion, also remains on the books. Critics argue these laws are outdated, allowing wars Congress never intended. Efforts to repeal or update them have stalled, leaving presidents wide latitude to deploy troops and order strikes. The result? America's forgotten wars continue under decades-old authorizations, with little public debate. The legal scaffolding remains, even as the missions evolve. The question now is whether Congress will act to reclaim its role in decisions of war and peace. Until then, these authorizations keep America's global military commitments alive. American service members remain engaged in complex missions across the globe, fighting wars that began a generation ago. These deployments persist because the threats, terrorism and instability, have proven resilient. Groups like ISIS and al-Shabaab are weakened, but not gone. The strategic landscape is shifting, with talk of reducing America's military footprint. Yet, as Iraq and Syria show, disengagement is difficult. Withdrawal risks creating vacuums for extremists or rivals. The future of these forever wars depends on adversaries' actions, political will, and public attention. Will Congress update the legal authorizations? Will future leaders choose continued engagement or full withdrawal? These questions will shape whether these wars continue or finally end. For now, thousands of Americans stand watch on distant front lines, executing their missions with dedication. They protect shipping lanes, train allies, and hunt terrorists, often out of sight, but never out of danger. The most important thing we can do is remember. They are there, serving in our name. Understanding their sacrifice is the first step toward a real conversation about America's role in the world. Their quiet service deserves our attention and our gratitude.